So ImAllexx is back. I only just learned he came out of hiding only a few days ago, so that's why I'm very late to this subject. But if you need a little refresher on who he was, I featured him in my Worst YouTubers of 2024 video. There was a very extensive Google Doc an ex-girlfriend of his named Alice dropped back in, I'd say, last May or June, detailing abuse she faced during her relationship with Alex. The doc was littered with screen caps of messages Alex would send her, where Alex would call her a bitch, telling her to die, telling her that she's worthless. The doc also contained videos where he would physically threaten her, like him telling her that he's going to bash her head against a wall. There's also another video where he tells her to shut up and that she needs to lie down like a good dog. There's also one incident she recounted in her Google Doc concerning sexual abuse she was a survivor of prior to her relationship with Alex, and she confided in him about this experience while they were on vacation, and you would think any boyfriend or partner in general worth a fuck, upon learning this information about their significant other, would comfort them and be empathetic, but no, this shithead chastised her for bringing up weird shit, quote-unquote, while they were supposed to be enjoying a vacation. And those are just the things from the Google Doc that I remember off the top of my head. It was enormous and filled to the brim with damning information against Alex. So when you have a doc as extensive and damning as the one that came out against Alex that also includes videos that are clear as day, you being awful towards your partner, how does one salvage their reputation after that? Simply put, you don't. I watched Alex's response video, or to be more accurate, I watched half of it, and then I began skimming through it. This isn't going to be some deep dive response to his response. I'm sure there are plenty of those out there on YouTube already. I just have some thoughts that I wish to let out in video form. First off, I don't even know why I gave him the time of day. Well, you read his ex's Google Doc in full. It's only fair to give him his due process as well. Yes, I get that. But this is a guy who had no problem propping up unsubstantiated claims of sexual abuse levied against another content creator, Slazo, who he was friends with, or at the very least on good terms with, prior to said allegations. And when Slazo proved those allegations false, you didn't even hear a word from Alex. No apology, no acknowledgement that maybe he should have reached out to his friend prior to taking these very serious allegations and running with them. So I gave Alex more courtesy than he would a friend who was in a very similar situation, except, you know, his friend actually proved the allegations to be false. Meanwhile, Alex has several videos that have come out that are clear as day, showcasing his awfulness. That's why if anyone didn't bother to hear Alex's side out, I honestly don't blame them. Even if Alex in his videos somehow proved without a shadow of a doubt every screen cap shown in that Google Doc was doctored, and the videos in the Google Doc were, I don't know, brilliantly done AI or some shit, and he was completely innocent the whole time, and there were people even after that who were still like, meh, don't care, I honestly don't blame them. Is it wrong? Maybe. But at the end of the day, you reap what you sow. You didn't bother to hear your friend out when they were hit with serious allegations that were later proven false. So how can you possibly expect other people to give you even more courtesy than you did a friend who was in a very similar situation? Except for you, the allegations were far more damning and credible. And no amount of deflection is going to change the fact that I think this guy is a piece of shit. And his video was chock full of, well, Alice is no angel as well. His biggest piece of evidence is that she would also get physical with him and berate him as well, which she has already acknowledged in her original Google Doc. Do I condone that behavior? No, it seems like this was all around a toxic relationship between two people who should have never gotten together in the first place, as they seem to have brought out the worst in each other. But I think it's important to understand the concept of reactive abuse, which is when a victim of abuse begins reciprocating the same treatment they receive from their abuser towards their abuser. Now, of course, I wasn't there to witness the ugliest bits of Alex and Alice's relationship, nor was anyone else, nor did I even fucking know anything about their relationship prior to the Google Doc dropping. But if this was truly a case where she only began to berate Alex and get physical with him after he already engaged in that disgusting behavior towards her, then it is unfair to say that both of them are as bad as each other other when Alex was the clear aggressor who pushed Alice to stoop down to his level. Again, if this really was a case where Alice was merely engaging in reactive abuse as opposed to them mutually abusing each other from the start. I'm just so tired of all of the people coming out of the woodwork after Alex's response video saying, you know what, both of these people are pieces of shit. They're just as bad as each other. When from the start, Alice said that yes, she was physical with him and berated him as well as a response to the abuse she was already facing from him. This is even corroborated by a screen cap that Alex showed in his own video. Yes, I slapped her face one time. Name a girl who hasn't slapped a huge asshole. I know I was, and I'm ashamed of everything. But coming after my life, that's your defense. My GF slapped me after I abused her. You said you slapped me. Have I lied to you here? You dragged me and put me in headlocks and kicked me. Now I know what some people may still say. Reactive abuse is still abuse. It is not acceptable under any circumstances to be physically or verbally abusive towards your partner. Yes, I understand that, and I agree, but I think it is also important to understand the concept of reactive abuse, and why it can and does happen, and that there is a decent likelihood that this was what was going on in the relationship. But even if this was real mutual abuse from the beginning, it doesn't make me feel any less disgusted over what I read in those screenshots, or the behavior displayed from Alex in those clips, and what he said to his girlfriend in those clips. His strongest defense is, yes, I was an abusive piece of shit, but so was my girlfriend. Like, okay, that doesn't change how I feel about you. That doesn't absolve you of your disgusting behavior, nor justify it. It would still be a situation of, yes, these are two shitty and abusive people, and that is the best case scenario for you. It's also funny that when he addressed the racial slurs he was also dropping in his text messages and the video she shared in her Google Doc, he was like, well, she uses racial slurs too, and was showing screen caps of her using said racial slurs, and even joking about using them. And it's like, yes, if racial slurs and other offensive slurs of the sort are actually part of her vernacular, that is gross and inexcusable. But what moral high ground do you have to stand on? You were verbally and physically abusive towards your partner. You were using the same slurs. Oh, but she normalized it for me. You were already a grown adult and not an impressionable child when this relationship began. It's like EDP trying to chastise the Predator Poachers guy for using racial slurs after he got caught doing what he did. Yeah, that Predator Poachers guy is a disgusting racist, but you're the one having sexually explicit DM conversations with people you know are minors. You tried to meet up with someone who you thought was a 13-year-old girl as a grown man to engage in very inappropriate behavior with them, let's leave it at that. And it's the same thing with Alex. You were verbally and physically abusive towards your girlfriend. The racial slurs your girlfriend was supposedly saying during the relationship is like near the bottom of the things I am concerned about when it comes to a serious situation like that. And the last thing I want to bring up is Alex bringing up that Alice contacted authorities. And he was like, well, I was never visited or arrested by police, you know, kind of nudging the audience to think that his behavior couldn't have been that bad, because, well, he never got into any legal trouble for his behavior towards Alice. Ah yes, because the police are notoriously great at handling domestic abuse. During my childhood, my mom called the police on my father several times, and you want to know what the police did every single time? Fuck all. They would come, ask a few questions, leave, and then my father would go right back to screaming at my mother and threatening her. And I'd imagine it's not any better in the UK. A very small percentage of domestic abuse situations actually end in arrest. So that was just another piss-poor defense from Alex. So anyway, needless to say, Alex's response video was utter dog shit. There is no salvaging your career. And what do you have to go back to? Morally grandstanding over other content creators again when you were exposed clear as day, abusing your partner? Who in their fucking right mind is going to take you seriously again? I know, you're Mr. Internet Sensation. You can choose to be completely detached from reality and still call yourself that, but no one is going to think of you as such, especially after this horrible response video that can be boiled down to just know you. I never liked this piece of shit, even back in like 2017 when I actually gave drama commentary slop channels like his the time of day. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.